everyone, Kate and Fiona Pearman joining you for this week's Facebook Live, where we're continuing to talk about being authentic. And I think this is a really interesting conversation. We had a fabulous chat with our inner circle, some of our alumni of the Acts of Confidence program about this on Monday. And I think what's really curious about this, being authentic leadership is a topic that we've been talking about now for many years. Many organisations are really leaning in and embracing it. And I think what's curious about this one, Fee, is it sounds really easy. Just, be yourself. But actually, it's really hard.
Yes, I think organisations would like this to be a much easier path than often is actually possible at the moment. If we think about organisational systems and structures, basically the culture that exists in an organisation, while we'd like it to be very positive, we'd like it to be supportive, often there are unwritten rules. And we talk about this quite a bit, the things that are okay and not okay. And while the policies might support, an open and transparent culture, in reality, we see things that mean that feels risky. It doesn't feel safe.
Yeah, I think lots of people have got either their own experiences or they've witnessed the experiences of others, either in the organisation they're working in or past organisations. We've coached so many clients who talk about past bosses or challenging dynamics with colleagues or stakeholders, and all of that experience comes with them as they move throughout their career. And so, that experience of where it hasn't been okay for themselves or colleagues or someone else to really show up and be all of who they truly are, to bring all of who they are to the workplace, experiences where that's not been okay, and there's been compromises or there's been sacrifices, sometimes career limiting consequences for showing up and being their authentic self. I think the other thing that's interesting here is lots of people will experience, and again have that evidence of where there's been talk, so there's been policies or there's been positions by the organisation saying where something's okay, and when there is very clear behaviour that it is not safe. And I think that what's curious here is so many people you talk to, if you even just open up a dialogue around how people feel about being their authentic self within their teams, within their broader organisations, a lot of people will say, actually, it's not something I feel that comfortable and okay to do.
Yeah, I think this piece about the fear that comes up, if I was to reveal more of who I am, if I was to be more open, if I was to share some of my maybe idiosyncrasies or some of the things that make me different, how would that play out? What would that mean in terms of how I'd be received? Would there be backlash? Would I be judged? Would I potentially feel on the outer like a bit excluded? All of those fears are going to come up, and they're all very natural things. I think, when we talk about what gets in the way, it's really normal and human to have those responses and to think like that. And, I think we, when we were talking on Monday, one of our alumni was sharing, in a previous organisation, they said all the right things. They had the culture, they had the policy, supposedly it was all written down. And yet the experience was, there was a lot of divisiveness, there was a lot of challenge, there was a lot of difficulty. It didn't feel as though you could really be authentic in that environment. And, recently gone for interviews, starting with a new role, the noticing of how different it was, just from the very first interview. And we asked, what was your evidence? What made you feel different in this place? And she said, well, it was actually the person interviewing me was being their authentic self. I could feel they were sharing more of themselves. They were being honest and open. And so it encouraged me to be. And I think from that experience, when she was filling out some onboarding information, she was willing to be more open and maybe share some quirky things that she wouldn't have done in her previous organisation. So while all these things are subtle and there's a lot of nuance here, it's really important to understand that's where people orientate from. They're actually going to make choices around all those small cues they get about whether it's okay or not to be authentic.
Yeah, I think that's a really big conversation to have, broader than probably we've been willing to dive into across many organisations around what does it really mean to show up and be your authentic self, what it takes, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of weeks as well. And then, realistically, what is it that they need to do differently to create that environment, and also to really hook in, and you've talked about this already, Fee, about why it really matters, and what are the benefits for individuals and also for the organisations. Because ultimately, everyone wants to belong, and the ROI of the diversity. We talk about the benefits and value of diversity. If we really want to harness that, then we do need to create psychologically safe workplaces where people can bring their whole selves to work, and by doing that, really share all of their gifts and their talents with their organisations.
I think there's lots and lots to dig in here, and we're really enjoying deepening our own understanding in this conversation, and welcome your input as well. I think we'll leave it there, Kate. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like our Facebook page and you'll get notified when we go live with these conversations. We have our first Career Accelerator Rise 2024 happening this Friday at 8:30 a.m. If you haven't signed up already, we'd love you to join us. It is an absolutely incredible time with our community sharing. We will be talking about personal brand and authenticity in that session. And if you'd like to go deeper with your relationship with Core Confidence, visit our website, coreconfidence.com.au.